I've been really sort of like genuinely amazed at some of the Twitter responses I've gotten and some of the comments on the YouTube of that they've posted. I saw one a website or a right-wing YouTuber really clipped up the thing in I thought, a pretty deceitful way because they didn't like. I know, I'm surprised by that, but I have no problem with people taking a segment and making an assessment of it, but when you literally have to construct it, then I think that you're sort of giving away the game. But here is, and let me make this clear. The reason why I believe we should go back to the top marginal tax rate that existed in this country for about 20 some odd years, maybe a little bit longer, in the greatest economic expansion this country has had in terms of how many people were entered into the middle class, is not because it generates more revenue, because these guys misinterpreted that. It is because wealth inequality is a problem. It is a problem both in terms of things like Social Security, because Social Security doesn't touch as much of our nation's income, and so it is less funded than it should be. It is a problem because it creates inflationary pressures on middle-class people. New York City is a great example of that. All the apartments are bought up by wealthy people. All the rentals are bought up by wealthy people, and people who are, the rest of New York has to pay exorbitant rates. I mean, this is across the economy. These guys are complaining like, well, after $3 million, if you took 90 cents, and this is what it was, the tax rates above $3 million. I mean, it was 470,000 at the time, but in today's dollars, $3 million, you would get taxed 90 cents on each dollar. But the thing they don't realize is like, you're still going to be able to buy all your rich guy stuff because everybody else is going to be subject to those taxes too. But here it is. That one particular broker stopped selling houses at a certain point.
So go to it. So right now,
I don't think that's a problem. I really don't. I mean, I think
to raise it to 90%.
Yeah, no, I don't think. I think
top line,
what you're talking about is sort of the Laffer curve, actually, right?
Yeah.
You
love the Laffer curve. You're a big fan of it, apparently.
I'll tell you what I love about the Laffer curve is that we had a perfect example of almost like a perfect model of what happens with the Laffer curve, right? Like the Laffer curve argues that the higher the tax rate goes, the less inclined people are going to be to generate income. And then because they're generating less money, there's going to be less tax receipts collected by the government. Art Laffer was Sam Brownback's #1 advisor in Kansas. Do you remember this when Brownback became governor? He basically gave over his entire tax structure to Art Laffer. They had it destroyed the tax base in Kansas. It ended up destroying their entire education system. They had an amazing Kansas university. Brownback gets plucked out of Kansas and literally sent to be ambassador to Ether. You know what? They made him ambassador to faith because they didn't want this guy around at all. The Republican-controlled Kansas legislature raised taxes back up because it had destroyed their tax receipts. The theory may sound good, but it doesn't work in practice.
So are you on YouTube and Rumble or just YouTube?
I'm on YouTube. I think we put it on Rumble. I think we're also on Twitch. Now, I just want to say, like, it didn't seem to have...
What a follow-up.
It didn't seem to have, like, he just wanted to ignore that. I mean, it is factually, and we've lamented many, many times that this was not more of a story by the Democrats. This is a failure of politics by the Democrats because none of what I just said should have been in any way enlightening to anybody. It should have been like, oh God, were you going to bring this up again? That's what it should have been like. But no, we never talked about it. No one ever really talked about it. But here he goes. He's got to shift to something that he's more comfortable
to your
with.
Personal business decisions as opposed to like literally a laboratory of that exact idea. It played out and it was a effing failure.
And to be clear, right? This is personal taxes I'm talking about. These are personal taxes, federal income taxes, All right, go ahead.
I'm on YouTube. I think we put it on Rumble. I think we're also
cool.
on Twitch, and
all over the place. Okay, so let me ask you this question: if YouTube took their AdSense from 55 to 15, would you continue creating content?
Yeah.
You sure?
Sure.
You'd continue creating content.
I wasn't doing YouTube for a long time.
How do you make a living today?
I have membership. That people pay. I get ad revenue from different places.
Okay, so let's just say the membership that you get from Patreon or whoever it is, okay? What if their fees went from them keeping 5% to 60% to 90%? Would you continue creating content?
Now, pause it for a second. First off, there's a couple of different ways to explain why this is not in any way analogous. Mm-hmm. The first way is that I would not be able to make $3 million a year if there was no revenue on my business. That's not what's happening. I'm not saying that the personal income taxes does not in any way impact the revenue of your business. And if I was making, and I guess the point is this, if I was making $200 million a year on the YouTube ad revenue,
right.
Or let's say I was making,
there yet.
No, let's say you're not quite there yet. But let's say I was making $5 million a year on YouTube revenue, right? And I'm doing it with the exact same staff that we have now and the exact same expenses because my expenses are not in any way inhibited or impacted by taxes. Taxes are not an expense on me. They are after I've paid all my expenses. The taxes are on the profit. So if I was to make $5 million and they went down and they said, you know what, you're only going to be making $3 million of revenue, and the expenses are exactly the same, and the expenses are a fraction of $3 million, I wouldn't in any way hesitate whatsoever. In fact, we go through this all the time with AdSense. The value of ads today is half of what it was 6 months ago. It happens.
Yeah.
It's just, it is, I was surprised by this question because it also doesn't make any sense in terms of a business sense. So both in terms of the analogy, we're talking after, revenue comes in, and the idea of the revenue, he just couldn't handle it because he's also he's doing this as a big business play for him.
Well, that's the thing is it seems like the crux of his analysis seems to fall back on, personal business advice as opposed to what we're talking about is how to structure a society.
Right.
I mean, it's just it's like square peg round hole situation.
But he's also talking about incentive structure. What was also interesting is that I saw to prepare, I watched a couple of interviews he did, and he did one with, I think it was Kyle Kalinske, where he talked about going and getting amazing service at this Comfort Inn by this waitress.
Okay.
Who literally left the hotel to go get them, I don't know what they wanted, waffles or something. I can't remember what it was. And he went to tip her, and she said, "Oh no, I don't accept tips." And he really talked about how great this person was. And I was like, "Well, dude, you didn't learn the lesson, which is that some people aren't exclusively motivated by money."
Whoa!
But go ahead. I didn't say that to him. I didn't bring that up.
60% to 90%. Would you continue creating content?
I mean, I would probably have to cut back if there was that.
Exactly.
Well, but that's only because it's such a big change.
No, that's the part about incentive, Sam. So your audience gets to enjoy you.
I'm not saying we'll cut the revenue for these businesses. I'm saying that the amount of
you
money,
have no choice though because you're paying these guys. You need the revenue.
No. I'm not suggesting we cut revenue for businesses. What I am suggesting is after that revenue comes in and we divvy up and I have my net profits, then my taxes would go up. But I will say this, if, let's say, the taxes went up on me personally, would I stop going on YouTube? No.
So would you be able to scale it how many employees you got working for you right now?
I'm not talking about cutting revenue.
I get that. How many employees are you working for you right now?
We have payroll, I think 6 or 7.
Okay, you got 6 or that's a small business you got there, right?
Sure.
6 or 7 people. Okay. If all of a sudden AdSense went up. The fees for your Patreon, I don't want to offend you when I say Patreon. I don't know who you use. Whoever you use that's got your membership stuff that you got.
We use
Pause it.
Fans FM.
Okay.
I was highly offended because we don't use. Well, we do have some Patreon.
Okay.
Yeah, we do everything, but it's mostly fans.
Yeah.
But he's trying to say, and he's conflating tax on profits versus like all of a sudden an overnight cut in revenue. Of course, if I own a bakery and all the customers stop coming in, let's say they start, there's we'll do the Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
Happened to Bob's Burgers in the movie. There's a huge sinkhole in front of that thing. No customers can come in. And so all my revenue dries up is very different than me making $3 million or $4 million. And all of a sudden, instead of me being able to keep 30, I have only 37% taxes on that $4 million, it goes up to 90 cents. It's just not in any way equivalent.
It's not. It's not.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
The Patreon, I don't know who you use. Whoever you use that's got your membership stuff that you got.
We use Fans FM.
Okay, there you go. That's a shout out to them. So Fans FM,
Right
Fans
there.
FM,
Fans.fm. It's actually a great
Fans.fm. Okay,
service.
fantastic. So if they raised
Take
it,
less than Patreon.
if they take 50% all of a sudden, and they say YouTube says AdSense goes to 15%, would you be able to employ those 6 people?
No, if my well, I don't know, but probably
Maybe that's because you're rich.
No,
because
probably not. But I'm not suggesting that we cut revenue for businesses. I'm suggesting that what is left over from revenue, if it's over $3 million that goes into the pocket of the owner of this enterprise, that $300 million and $1 gets taxed
Let's
at
have fun with this.
90 cents.
Let's have fun with this. So here's a question for you. And I kind of know what your answer is.
And I want to be clear on something.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I subscribe to this not because I think that we need the money or that this is going to, be a panacea in terms of like how we would spend this money.
Yeah.
But I see in this country a massive problem with wealth inequality and the commensurate political inequality that comes with it. We have wealth inequality in this country like we've never had before.
I don't disagree. So there's not a disagreement there, but the solution is where we're going to disagree. So let's kind of process that together. Okay. So the whole thing, like I remember when I first got out of the military and I went into the financial industry, it's 1999. I know nothing. It's 2000. I know nothing about now. The speaker
I'm sorry,
gets up.
Okay, pause.
Did he not address at all the fact that that you're speaking about personal income? So the boss has the small business. You make $3 million, then you make $4 million, and that next million is being taxed at that 90% rate. That has nothing to do with like the YouTube or other businesses that we do our job through that we're reliant on cutting their revenue and changing their internal structure so that hurts a business. Like
I think he could understand that. I think he just didn't have an answer to it. And his answer, then he tries to switch it. And I think he basically here, and we don't need to listen to it anymore. But he goes on to basically make the argument that anybody can make a lot of money if they work hard. And here's the thing is that it's impossible for everybody to be millionaires in this country.
Well, that's because they don't work hard.
It would be impossible for everybody to be millionaires. It would be impossible for the majority of people to be millionaires. It would be impossible for, even like more than, 25% of people to be millionaires. Maybe it's lower. And the more money that these people have, the less the other 75%, 80%, 90%, 95%, 99% are going to have. And he doesn't seem to understand that. What's also fascinating to me is just like the idea, this guy must have so much money. The idea that like, if you're not allowing me on an annual basis to amass significantly more than $3 million a year, I mean, what am I going to do?
Well, here's an idea, dude. Maybe take some of that money that you've made, the millions, and put it back into your business to make it a better business. That's like the free market solution to some of this, right?
I'm sure
that's incomprehensible.
I'm sure
because
he's
it's not
reinvesting in all of it. Like I went into that place. They got a whole Chase Bank. They're in a vault. It looks great. They had like merch everywhere and branded pens and there was a lot of people working in the bullpen. I mean, the place was really sweet. It was nice. So he puts money into stuff. I don't think he's not making that money. He's got to be, reinvesting in himself and good for him. But the bottom line is you just can't conceive of not having accrued that much money. So